Welcome to a parallel project training APM Project Management qualification podcast based on the APM Body of Knowledge 6th edition. You should be using this in conjunction with our e-learning, study guide and potentially a tutor-led course. For more information, please visit www.parallelprojecttraining.com.
Hello, welcome to another Parallel Project Training podcast on leadership. This is on Situational Leadership model by Paul Hersey and Kenneth Blanchard.
That's right. Situational leadership model basically it's one of those theory things, where you've got a box, you've got four squares in the box, you've got two axes, one along the left-hand side and one across the top, and you've got supportive behaviour on the left going from low to high, and you've got directive behaviour going from left to right, from low to high. And the idea is that you apply a different leadership style depending on the nature of the people that are being led.
And the situation you're in.
And the situation you find yourself in, yeah. So, and they describe followers, i.e. the people that you're leading, as demonstrating varying degrees of maturity.
Yes. And
that's not kind of age maturity. That's how good they are at what they're doing
in that job,
and how competent they are,
that's
and
right.
how familiar they are with being led.
That's right. So you might have somebody who's really, really experienced project manager but gets promoted to a director's role.
That's right.
That means that they might go down the maturity level a little bit.
That's right.
In those new roles.
But the argument is, and then the four modes that, or whatever you want to call them, the four states that you can be in as a leader is telling, where it's low supportive and high directive, selling, which is high directive, high supportive, participating, which is low directive, high supportive, and delegating, which is low directive and low supportive. And the idea is that the more you can delegate to people, the better off you are, because it gives you time to go and do something else, like lie on the beach, play golf, etc. But that person will also get a much better job experience, work experience, because they're more in control of what they're doing. And one of the big demotivators and one of the big things that causes stress is where you're not in control of what you're doing. There's lots of theories, lots of research to back that up. So the idea is that delegating is the optimum state, but you can't do it unless people are capable of being delegated to. You quite often hear people say, well, I've delegated that, but actually quite often what they've done is abdicated it.
Yes.
They've dumped it on somebody and I've delegated that to Jim, Poor old Jim doesn't realise what's happened. Isn't capable,
Yes, that's right.
So the idea is that you kind of have to develop a relationship with individuals and get them through that loop. So sometimes if they're new to the job, you might just need to tell them what to do, go do this, go do that. Do this next, do this on Thursday, that sort of thing. Very little by way of support, really. It's just, and you can understand, some people like to work like that as well. There's lots of people that get a lot of satisfaction out of that sort of work. And then selling and participating are just various shades of grey, really, between telling and delegating. Selling is where you're kind of trying to sell them the objectives rather than the job itself. And then participating is where they're already quite comfortable with doing it. And they're kind of
they know technically what to do.
They know technically what to do, and they're sort of
but you just want
quite
to make
happy
sure
to be left alone for short periods of time, and you don't need to keep looking over the shoulder.
But you want to make sure they're motivated,
yes, that's
emotionally
right.
bought into it.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah,
Whereas selling, for me, that you still need to be directive about how they do it.
Yes.
And then delegating is where you just know they're going to perform for you.
Yeah.
So you can just let go of it, really. So changing the situation, though, as well. So you might have someone that you would normally delegate to, but you might adopt a telling style because the situation warrants it. So emergency, if... when you do a bid, you ever done a big bid? I think that it's just... Sometimes you sit back and you think, bloody hell, I phoned up somebody... And I said, I need someone on my desk by tomorrow, 9 o'clock, or else. And you go, I would never do that with that person, except in that situation.
Yeah.
And they accept it.
Yes, that's right.
They would never take it from you, except when they know you've got a bid to put together and it's got to be done. And
That's right. They know it's important.
but it's not this important; it's urgent, and they recognise that urgency in the way you behave, and that's an appropriate behaviour in that situation. But if you were to go up to them and say, "Right, I need you to," I think procurement really is a good example. I need you to place a contract, and just let me tell you how you place a contract. They go, "What the hell? What have you been on?" And it's not one of these golf club models, really. You need to be able to apply all of these different styles in different situations with different people.
Yeah.
But as individuals, we have a bias.
And yet they say that being consistent is one of the most important things.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, how you react, if you're inconsistent in terms of how you react to things.
With an individual. So
Yes.
one day you're delegating to them, and
Yeah,
one
that's
day
right.
you're selling
that's
to them,
right.
and one day you're
That's right.
shouting at
Yeah,
them,
that's
and
right.
they don't know where
They don't know
you
whether
are.
they're coming or going.
I think this is linked to a sort of an awareness of others, really.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I was avoiding that word.
It's 2 words.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, we'll avoid that then.
Good.
That's it, really. I mean, I think the questions are fairly limited. It's a fairly limited little topic, actually, and don't forget, listeners, it's all about knowledge, and the examination will ask you to interpret the model and recount the model. They
Yes.
won't be asking you to, unpick a set of circumstances. They won't give you a little case study or anything like that and
No.
say, in this situation,
What would you do?
Yeah, was Jim delegating or was he selling?
Nah.
So that it will just be simply for you to describe this model and how you understand
But
it.
it would be good to have an example of each. When would you do telling?
Yes. Yeah.
So, when would it be appropriate to sell? When would participation be the right strategy to follow? When would delegation be the right thing to do?
I think the delegating and telling are 2 easy ones.
Yes.
Telling is new starters, the job,
Yes.
Monday
or
morning.
contractors.
Yeah.
I found on-site I'm rubbish at telling, but I had a load of contractors working for me, and it was the only way that worked.
Yep.
It was. They didn't expect anything else from a leader.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
do
what-
this, and when you finish, do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was hopeless at it.
Yeah.
Selling is more difficult, but I think that's actually when you've got a startup meeting. I think that's what you're doing at a startup meeting. You're sort of saying, right, well, these are the benefits, but I still want you to do it this way, and I want you to do it that way, and I want. So you're still telling people how you want the project done, but you're getting their buy-in to it. Participation is just the experts, really.
I heard this described as selling. You tell the unconscious incompetence.
Unconscious, incompetent.
People that don't know what they don't know.
Yes.
And you delegate to the conscious competent, the people that do it without thinking.
Yes. Yes.
And then you get incompetent conscious and unconscious competent in between.
Yes.
So people have varying degrees of not knowing what they don't know.
Yes.
And their ability to do it, even if they did. So it's about dragging them through that sort of cyclical approach. They have to become aware of what they don't know, and then how to
So
how
the
to deal
selling
with it.
would be consciously incompetent.
Yeah,
So I would like to do a good job, but I don't know quite how to do a good job.
that's what I don't know what a good job looks like.
Yes.
And then
participating would be.
Incompetent conscious.
So I know what a good job looks like, but you have to convince me your project's worth doing a good job on, because I've got someone else over there. Typically in the matrix, I think participation is really that's the style you need to work in a matrix organisation.
Yeah,
Because there's always some, you can't delegate in a matrix organisation because there's always somebody else who's trying to participate. Simplifying it, but
yeah.
delegate. If you've got your own team, you can delegate to them because they're not going to be nicked by someone else. But if you're relying on if you're fighting for that resource with somebody else, you can't trust them totally because it's not the individual you can't trust; it's the organisation to whip them away. You come back and your team's gone. Brilliant. That's a short little topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Typical questions.
Describe the key aspects of a situational leadership model.
Oh, this is worth mentioning actually. With reference to a known model, so that's a sort of key word, isn't it? With reference to a known model,
Known theory.
That means known theory. That means they want you to quote one of these models, be it
Yeah,
Belbin or Hersian Blanchard or
Yeah.
Maslow.
Yep.
And you don't have to do a drawing unless it says with a drawing.
I would always do the drawing.
Would you?
Yeah, I pretty much.
Yeah, I've known people say, I didn't do this question because I couldn't remember what the axes were. But you can actually answer this question just by saying tell, sell, participate, delegate.
Well, you can score marks.
Yeah.
Whether you get 100% without a drawing is debatable.
Yeah, there won't be any marks unless it says specifically with a drawing. There won't be any marks for the drawing.
No, I think if you do the drawing, you sometimes grab a few marks simply because you inadvertently put something in the drawing that they think is right.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, as long as the drawing's correct.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast and found it informative. To order a study guide, e-learning, or a tutor-led course to go with this podcast, please visit www.parallelprojecttraining.com.